Welcome to the famous series of the Artificial Fluency podcast. Today we're plunging into the really gripping story of actor Jeremy Renner, specifically his near-fatal snowcat accident back on New Year's Day 2023, and, well, his truly extraordinary recovery since then.
Absolutely. And we're drawing from some powerful interviews he gave, the ones of the Josh Horowitz podcast and also the Joe Rogan Experience. They're very raw, very firsthand accounts.
Yeah, they give us this unique look at exactly what he went through. So our goal, our mission in this deep dive, it's not just to, recount the events. We want to understand the key things that helped him survive, helped him heal, and explore how this whole thing has, profoundly reshaped his life, his perspective, some surprising ways, perhaps.
It's definitely a serious subject, no doubt about it.
It is, but we're going to navigate it thoughtfully, try to extract some really valuable insights for you, the listener.
And these interviews, they really give you that unfiltered view, don't they?
Yeah.
It's a journey marked by, extreme physical trauma. But equally, you see this immense mental and emotional fortitude.
Yeah.
Renner's reflections, they offer some powerful lessons, I think, about human resilience, or the resources we can tap into when things get really tough.
Okay, so let's set the scene. New Year's Day, 2023. Near Lake Tahoe, there'd been a huge snowstorm. And Renner's out there clearing his driveway, which is apparently quite long, with his snowcat. This wasn't just for fun, right?
No, not at all. He described it as a necessary task, basically. Heavy snow, family needed to be able to leave. It was routine, or seemed routine, which kind of underscores a point, doesn't it? Yep. Even ordinary things, especially with heavy machinery involved.
Yeah, unexpected risks.
Exactly. A reminder about the potential for the unexpected, really.
Then comes that moment, the accident itself. He steps onto the tracks. Somehow the control gets hit. He gets thrown off. And then the truly terrifying part, the snowcat starts heading right for his nephew.
Right. And his reaction is just pure instinct.
Jump back on. Try to stop it.
It's incredible courage, really. A split-second, selfless act. His priority was clearly his nephew's safety.
Even at immense personal risk.
Absolutely. And while that led to his injuries, it says so much about him.
And the impact, being run over by the full length of this thing, it's like, 16,000 pounds?
Yeah, around that. He described feeling the undulation of the wheels. Mentioned 6 of them, I think.
The sensations he described are just harrowing. Immense pressure, like being drowned.
Struck by lightning, bleeding out.
Yeah.
All happening at the same time. It's almost impossible to really wrap your head around that level of trauma.
His descriptions are just so visceral. They convey the force, but also this multi-sensory assault.
And the fact he was conscious through a lot of it probably contributes to how vividly he remembers it. He just highlights his incredible endurance.
Then the injuries themselves. 38 broken bones, a crushed skull. And that detail about his eyeballs being dislodged. He actually said he saw one eye with the other.
Yeah, and trying to keep it on ice, it really underscores the sheer brutality of it.
That specific detail is so shocking. It emphasizes the force, especially to his head.
Absolutely. And his presence of mind in that moment, even thinking about preserving his eye, it's testament to this remarkable will to survive, a surprising clarity amidst total chaos.
And in that crisis, his supposed last words, shouting, "Motherfucker,"
right.
Not about himself, but in that desperate attempt to stop the machine, save his nephew. There's a sort of raw intensity there.
It's incredibly human, isn't it? That visceral reaction under just unimaginable pressure. His focus was still external on his nephew.
Even facing death himself.
Exactly. Fierce determination. Primal instinct.
He also mentioned hundreds of people being involved right after in saving his life.
Yeah, that really puts the scale of the emergency response into perspective.
Especially in a relatively remote location.
It highlights how crucial that community response, the emergency services, all of it, was for his survival. A coordinated effort.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. The initial recovery, there was talk early on about maybe a documentary.
Right, but that idea got dropped pretty quickly.
Why was that?
Well, he explained that in those first critical days, weeks, every single bit of his energy had to go into just healing, the basics.
Right.
A huge project like a documentary. It was just completely out of the question. The physical, the mental resources needed, he just didn't have them to spare.
Makes sense. But the idea of a book came up quite early too, didn't it? As a way to maybe process things?
It did, yeah. As a potential sort of catharsis.
Yeah.
But initially, that also felt overwhelming.
Understandably. So what changed there?
Well, I think the sheer scale of the trauma plus the ongoing demands of just getting through each day, the idea of writing a whole book, especially having never done it before, seemed insurmountable.
Until the ghostwriter came in.
Exactly. That collaboration was key. Someone to provide structure,
Yeah.
guidance, that made it feel manageable.
So the process involved lots of chats, dictaphone recordings over several months.
Yeah, about 6 months, he said. It sounds like just talking it through, verbalizing it, was a big part of the healing process itself.
Allowing him to recount it naturally, maybe unlock things.
That's the idea. The power of storytelling, really, in processing trauma.
Now, this is where it gets really fascinating for me. He talks about conscious breathing, specifically something called llama breathing. And his mother taught it to him as a kid.
Yeah, apparently to help her prepare for childbirth with his younger siblings, which, probably seemed pretty odd and boring to him back then.
I can imagine. But later, he realized how important it was for anxiety, pain management.
Exactly. He found himself using it for things like auditions, apparently had reminders on his phone, and then he used it during the accident and after.
Wow.
It's this incredible connection, isn't it? Something learned so early, maybe almost forgotten, becomes this critical tool in a life or death situation.
It really underscores that untapped power of things we learn early on.
Definitely. And he made sure to tell his mom how crucial it had been for him.
That's amazing. And his recovery itself. Doctors apparently thought he might walk with a limp forever, maybe not even run, but he blew past those expectations.
Massively. He credits that to sheer will and his love for his family. He called recovery a 24-hour day job.
That level of dedication.
It just shows that powerful link between the physical healing and the mental side, doesn't it? Medical care was vital, obviously, but his determination, his motivation, that played a huge role.
Okay, let's dive into some of the recovery specifics. Pain management, obviously huge. He talked about getting off OxyContin really fast.
Yeah, very quickly. And the withdrawal was intense. He said he cried for like 3.5 days straight.
And he went against medical advice about tapering off slowly.
He did, which shows this incredibly strong desire to avoid getting hooked, even with severe pain. It underscores how powerful those drugs are, but also his willpower. What does that tell you about his priorities?
Definitely prioritizing the long term. Then, physical therapy, constant work, obviously. He started on something called a boost treadmill. What is that for listeners who might not know?
All right, so a boost treadmill, it uses air pressure, essentially, to lift you slightly, counteracting some of your body weight.
Oh, okay.
So you can exercise, walk, run, but with much less impact on your joints, your muscles. Really valuable in early rehab after major injuries like his.
Incredible to think of the journey from that state to even assisted walking.
Absolutely.
He also used some other, maybe less common recovery tools, hyperbaric chamber, a red light bed.
Frequently. For tissue recovery, getting more oxygen into the system, reducing lactic acid buildup.
He even saw potential for them beyond just recovery, like anti-aging or disease prevention.
Yeah, these therapies work on optimizing healing at a cellular level. Hyperbaric chambers boost oxygen in the blood for tissue repair. Red light therapy might reduce inflammation, stimulate cells. It shows a very proactive, kind of multifaceted approach he took.
And then peptide injections. He mentioned PPC 700, AOD, MOTSC. Peptides might be a new term for some people. What are they, broadly?
So peptides are basically short chains of amino acids. They can act like signals in the body, influencing different processes. The ones he mentioned were being looked at for things like, tissue repair, fat metabolism, energy regulation. Using them suggests a really comprehensive strategy, very cutting edge in some ways.
And blood work became a big focus too, right? Especially after the bones started healing. He mentioned his hemoglobin was at 2 initially.
Which is critically dangerously low, life-threateningly low. It means your blood just can't carry enough oxygen.
Wow.
So focusing on cellular health, blood health later on just underlines the systemic hit his body took. You have to address those underlying things for long-term recovery.
Throughout all this physical stuff, his mental game seems just crucial. He talked about setting small goals, achievable ones.
Yeah, to keep confidence up, maintain momentum.
The importance of self-love, not looking too far ahead and getting overwhelmed, accepting it would be lifelong, but maybe change forms.
That's such valuable insight, isn't it? For anyone facing a big challenge, breaking it down, being kind to yourself. It highlights that mind-body connection again, sustaining motivation.
In his support system, he talked about love deepening with family, friends, Mackie, Paul Rudd visiting him in the hospital.
Yeah, he cherished those moments.
Those relationships sound like they were a total lifeline.
Absolutely. That kind of support can be incredibly powerful. It provides emotional comfort, reinforces your determination. You're healing for them too, in a way. Thinking about that support, how important is community for you, the listener? when facing tough times.
This whole thing has clearly shifted his perspective, his priorities, big time. He said what truly matters now is love, human connection, stripping away the, what do you call it, meaningless bullshit.
Yeah, it's a profound reevaluation. Facing mortality often does that, doesn't it? It brings us clarity about what's really important. Relationships first.
And he kind of redefined success for himself, too, wanting to be known for who he is, the person, not just the actor.
Right. Finding that more fulfilling, feeling more vulnerable, maybe more authentic. It's a big shift in self-perception.
Suggests moving towards a deeper self-acceptance, wanting genuine connection beyond the job title.
Exactly. A more authentic way of living, maybe.
Even humor played a part, gallows humor. He talked about having these imagined chats with Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, apparently as a coping mechanism, referencing Fox's own health issues around that time. It's a unique way to process trauma.
Finding levity, connection, even in that dark place.
Humor can be amazing for diffusing things, coping with adversity.
His view on fate is interesting, too. Doesn't believe life is all mapped out. Sees it more as experiential, a learning process.
Yeah, which seems to fit with his proactive approach to recovery. If it's not predetermined, you feel more agency, more power to shape your own path forward.
And maybe the biggest shift, feeling like he has no more bad days.
Right. That new benchmark.
After what he went through, his definition of a truly bad day is just completely different. He's actively choosing positivity.
It's an incredible mindset shift. That reframing allows for so much more gratitude, resilience in facing everyday stuff. For you listening, what parts of that mental fortitude could apply to your own challenges?
He also mentioned relationships deepening, realizing his experience hit everyone around him hard, too.
That interconnectedness.
And valuing shared living experiences more now, saying you don't need to nearly die to connect deeply.
It's a beautiful sentiment. It highlights empathy, shared vulnerability. The bonds forged then were intense, but the lesson is broader.
Looking at his career quickly, 30 years acting, from National Lampoon's Senior Trip
Right, way back.
to Oscar nominations for The Hurt Locker, The Town, it's quite a body of work.
It really is. Puts the lace that got disrupted into context
Yeah.
and sets the stage for thinking about his future in acting now.
He mentioned being initially skeptical about Marvel, about Thor even, but Hawkeye drew him in, being more grounded.
Yeah, the non-superpowered guy. Fits with his appreciation for grounded stories, maybe.
And that funny story about getting the wrong bow, a left-handed one.
Just a little human moment within that massive Marvel machine. Adds some levity.
He also talked about Mayor of Kingstown, which is physically demanding, doing that post-accident, feeling he's still improving.
Shows his ongoing recovery, his dedication to the craft.
And teasing being in the next Knives Out, acknowledging that Jeremy Renner hot sauce joke from the movie.
Yeah, that was funny. Shows he's aware of his public image, can have fun with it. He seems to be finding his way back.
But maybe the most powerful thing now is his foundation. His passion for helping kids in need.
Renovations, repurposing vehicles, running camps.
He said this brings him immense joy. Feels like a core purpose now.
It really seems like it. Using his platform for that, supporting young people, it feels like a deeply meaningful driving force for him now, maybe even beyond acting. How does that resonate with you, finding purpose outside of just your job?
So reflecting on this whole deep dive into Jeremy Renner's story, what are the main takeaways for you?
Well, several things stand out. The incredible power of sheer will, for one. The surprisingly huge impact of something like conscious breathing.
Yeah.
The absolute necessity of community, of connection, when facing the unimaginable. And how overcoming adversity, even something this extreme, can lead to real personal growth.
Simplifying life, focusing on what matters, gratitude.
Exactly. Those fundamental values really come to the forefront.
And there were definitely those surprising details that stick with you, the llama breathing link to his childhood.
The Jamie Foxx hallucinations as a coping mechanism.
And just the raw detail of the accident, contrasted with his recovery milestones.
They add so much depth, don't they? Illustrating the unique ways people cope and overcome.
So, thinking about you, our listener, what parts of Renner's story really hit home? Does it make you think differently about resilience, about your own connections, what you value?
Yeah, and maybe how the challenges you face, even if they're different, could also be chances for shifts in understanding.
Which leads to maybe a final thought to leave you with. Could Renner's experience, that stark intensity, could it offer a kind of framework for navigating our own challenges, redefining what a full life means?
It's a compelling question. Is there a before and after moment for everyone? Maybe not as dramatic, but something that clarifies priorities with that kind of impact. Definitely something powerful to consider.